It's Lauren Yates from Rave here, and today we're going to be chatting over Skype with professional bodybuilder and male model Lawrence Templar. Lawrence, welcome to Rave It Up. How are you going today?
Good, very good. Yourself?
I'm fantastic. It is a real pleasure to have you on the show today. I'm looking forward to hearing all about your journey. Now, I first heard about you from watching your Arnold preparation on the show The House of Wellness. So, Tell me about the filming for that. You know, how long did they have to follow you around with all the cameras for just that segment?
So they filmed probably 3 weeks before the first competition was the Victorian titles, the qualifiers. Everyone who has to do the Arnolds does the qualifiers to get in. But in saying that, everyone who does the qualifiers qualifies to do the Arnolds. So they filmed me talking about food and my kind of diet. And at that stage, it was very boring. If you ask me, like, that was the point where I'm like, oh, I actually got to crack down now, and I've only got 3 weeks before the comp, so it was pretty much just meat and veg, nothing exciting. There was one meal that I was having that had carbohydrates in it, and it was like 100 grams of rice. They filmed that. That was probably about 3 hours. Then we went and trained with my trainer, Alex Stevenson, and then we went and like filmed a little bit, like chatting and whatnot. They came back and filmed at the Arnolds. They didn't film the Victorian titles because they wanted to just do the Arnolds because it was main expo and whatnot. But they only followed me around for about an hour at the Arnolds, but they got there at 8 a.m. and filmed like a little intro, and they're like, cool, so let us know when you're pumping up. And I'm like, you do know I'm going on stage at like 3:30. And they're just like, oh, okay. But yeah, so kind of like a lot of waiting around for them. But they were happy. They were just chilling out, having coffees and food and just chatting, which was kind of nice. But yeah, so just 2 days that we're filming.
Well, it was a good segment for us to watch because then we get an idea of how much is actually involved.
Yeah. They really didn't. They were quite surprised of how much time and like effort went into it. They're just like, oh, so you just train and diet a bit, and I'm like,
No.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dedication.
Yeah.
And how were the Arnolds? Were these your first Arnolds?
Yes, it was my first time competing in IFBB Pro League. I am having my second child in 5 weeks now, so very, very soon.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. I sat down and talked to my fiance, and I'm like, babe, I want to compete. She's like, okay, do it.
Yeah, why are you asking me?
Like, why are you asking me? Like, no. Like, I want to compete in the Arnold. She's just like, okay, cool. And I'm like, it's going to be really hard work, and I got to train a lot and sleep a lot and work, and I got to diet a lot. We can't go to dinner. She's just like, fine.
So you're stuck with the baby.
No. She's very, very, very supportive. She helped out a lot, especially with like things like if I needed to cook. Sounds tedious, but if I need to cook for the whole week and I'm taking care of Nala, don't get me wrong, I can do it. Like, I think 3 or 4 times I remember cooking or I had Nala on like my hip, and I'd be like going through weighing things that are already cooked, and she's like, Daddy? She's really, really cute. Where she'd be like, hey babe, it's all right, I'll take Nala, take an hour, do what you need to do. She was very, very helpful and very supportive, which I'm very lucky to have her.
Oh, good. She keeps you grounded, obviously.
Yes, she does. But sat down, talked to her, said, is it okay? She said, fine. And then she was like, I shouldn't have said yes. But no, yeah. But by the end of it, like, it was all good.
And how was the weekend? Did you get to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger yourself?
No, I did not. I saw him, but he's only really there for like the main event, which would be like the heavy bodybuilders, and he presents them with the trophy, and then after that he kind of zooms off and everyone watches him take off in his helicopter, which I think was him. I'm not really sure. I saw everyone rush over and see his helicopter go away. I'm like, oh, it must be him taking away.
Couldn't have been anyone else.
Yeah, no.
And did you win anything yourself over the weekend as well?
No, not at the Arnolds. I won the Victorian titles for the first timers, but once you've competed in the first timers, you obviously can't do the first timers again, and there's no first timers in the Arnolds. But stepping on stage against those guys, they're like, it's another league. Like I said to my coach, I'm like, all right, 4 years, I'll do it again. And we're like, yep, cool, 4 years.
Yeah, well, you know what to expect now, I guess.
Yeah, a lot more kind of, I'd be a little bit more at ease doing it again, I suppose. Whereas this time, the first one was very unexpected, like had no idea kind of what was going on, and like okay, so this time I have to pump up, this time I have to start and eat these things, and this time I have to start and eat that, and then I can start and have like my Powerades and actually start and lift weights before I go on stage, and rice cakes with sugar, and it all felt like kind of rushed and sporadic and not unplanned, because it was planned, if that makes sense. But they're like, you're on stage in half an hour, and you're like, okay, all right, I'll start doing this now. Whereas the Arnolds, like I got there at 7 a.m, got my final tan. In the back room, I slept. I watched 2 movies on my phone, and then everyone else started to rock up to compete. And then, like, by that stage, there was like 3 or 4 competitors that I knew. Yes, we were all going to start hanging out backstage, do the filming, and then we went on stage. So a lot more kind of chilled out, if that makes sense. And,
you know, I know you've competed before, but Arnold's is like the biggest in the world, I'd say, because everybody knows about it. For you, was that nerve-wracking then? Because you're used to being on stage and, you know, competing, but to actually be at the Arnold's, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah, to be honest, it made it a lot easier telling people why I'm doing it. Remember a couple of times we went out to a birthday and there was just food and whatnot, and usually if I'm dieting for like either a photo shoot or something, I'm just like, oh, I've got this going on. They're just like, oh, okay, what is it? Whereas if I just say I'm competing in the Arnold's, everyone's like, oh, cool, yeah. They made it's self-explanatory, if that makes sense. Yeah, people are just like, oh yeah, I know what that is. I understand. So that kind of made it a bit easier, but yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest lesson you personally learnt on that journey for the Arnold's?
Ooh, it has nothing to do with competing, to be honest. It's more about life. Like the fact that I could put in that much effort to something made me feel that, I don't want to sound corny, like I can do anything, but as in like it made me feel like, oh, other stuff's kind of not easy, but setting myself a goal to do something seems realistic now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, everything else is a bit easier.
Yeah, like it sounds weird and hard to explain, but it just mentally it made me stronger. That'd be the easiest way to say it.
Yeah, of course. I would expect that for the Arnold's. Now, in terms of your preparation for the Arnold's, I heard you were at the gym like 3 times a day for like 20 weeks, and it's a daily grind of exercise, dieting, and sleep, as you mentioned before. I'd love to know, were there times that you just wanted to give up? Because I'm sure that we can all relate to those days where we don't really want to go to the gym.
Not once did I want to give up, to be honest. They got to a point after the Victorian titles. I got down to, I think I was 3-point-something% body fat. And then you have a little bit of a refeed, a little bit of a binge. And then you're like, okay, cool, I've got 3 weeks until the Arnold's. What do? Your body starts to get used to the amount of calories you're having. Your body starts to get used to the amount of output of work you're doing. So to try and stay as lean, I would do little things like, instead of driving to the gym, I'd walk for 15 minutes. And then instead of driving home, I'd obviously walk 15 to 20 minutes, or to go to the supermarket, instead of driving, I'd walk the long way around rather than the short way, to the point where like I was tracking my steps to make sure I was doing 5,000, 6,000 steps more each day in those 3 weeks than I was doing the previous, just to make sure I would actually get leaner. And it worked. I got to 2.8% body fat 2 days before the show, and it showed. Like I was a lot leaner and a lot kind of drier, I suppose you call it, when I was on stage. Probably to the point where I didn't think I needed to get that lean, but I was happy, my coach was happy, and everyone said it looked really good, or looked lean enough. Wouldn't say healthy or looked good, but
looked good for the Arnold's.
Yeah, like that was probably the point where I'm like, okay, I need to not give up, but I need to put in more effort to do this, which made me a little bit like tunnel vision, which wasn't good, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm guessing the winning title was a main motivation. Was there any other motivation for you during all this preparation?
To be honest, I didn't really care if I won or not. I didn't really think I was going to win, especially going in for the first time doing it. My main goal was to get on stage and have no one say, oh, you weren't really there. My main goal was to get on stage and be like, I looked like I deserved to be up there. That was the main one. And probably the kind of like realistic point of me going, oh, I deserve to be here was when in the Arnolds, they didn't have this in the Victorian titles. They had a massive TV up top. So when they say, okay, so to do your back pose, you turn around, come up, flare your lats. And I was looking up at the TV and I'm like, oh, this is really good. Oh, that's me. Like, I didn't realize that was my back. And I'm like, oh, yeah, nice. And it made that, what sounds really stupid, but that made me really happy. Just seeing like, oh, cool.
Good, they acknowledge my hard work.
Yeah. Like, and I'm like, oh, that's me. But my back was definitely something that needed a lot of work going into the start of the prep. I've always had more of a kind of dominant chest. Shoulders and arms were fine, but my coach was like, your back needs work. I'm like, okay. But yeah, so that was definitely a good moment.
Well, plus now you can tick it off your bucket list. I've competed for the Arnolds.
All done. All finished.
Now, you're eating so much and drinking so much water at the beginning, and then you pretty much go down to like nothing right before the competition. So how do you do that? Is that hard? Like, how do you keep yourself focused on that end result? And it's like, okay, just got to do what I've, set out to do.
Because it's such a long process, because it took so long to do, the first, I'm going to say month and a half, I'm trying to grow. So my biggest problem is because before that I was still trying to do some kind of modelling. So I had to stay a certain size for fittings pretty much. And I would be under eating. And that's the truth, right? But when I went and saw Steve-O, Alex, he would look at what I'm eating and go, cool, you need to eat literally double this to grow. And having someone there to tell you that, I wouldn't have done that by myself. That was the biggest help where he was. So he had me eating 8 meals a day. And this is going off memory, I think it was 3,800 calories, where I was only eating, I think, 1,800 to 1,900 calories a day. Don't get me wrong, I was having good nutrients. Like, I get blood tests, make sure everything's fine, make sure I'm not deficient in anything, but I definitely wasn't eating enough to grow. Probably overtraining a little bit. But he made me grow really fast with that much food, and I think that's why my body responded so well to so much food, because I had been eating so little for so long amount of time. But then from eating that to that, a lot of people would be cutting down to that much food. So for me, I was full the whole time. And then when we started to cut down, he took away one of the meals, and the last meal, like, it was almond butter on gluten-free bread at night time. And I'm like, this feels like a treat to me anyway, so I feel like I shouldn't be having it, so that's okay. He took that away, and then we cut down a little bit more. When we got to 4 weeks before the show, that's when we went down to the one that you see on the House of Wellness, where they have the 6 meals, and the last one with the tin kippers and the 1 meal of carbs. And then what was really hard, the last 2 weeks before the Arnolds, he took away all carbs altogether. The thing that I miss most is probably fruit, because you are trying to deplete yourself as much as you can. So taking away all of that, like going into the show, like my training sessions were like, you try and train as hard as you can. You feel like you're training hard, and then you would look back on what you used to be able to do, and you're like, oh, that's depressing. But dropping down food, eat bit by bit, made it a bit easier, because it's not a big like cut straight away. That's why it was so good, because we had the 20 weeks to take our time and spend time working out what I needed to do. Made it a little bit easier, I suppose, where some people go, okay, I'm already kind of in shape, I'm going to try and get ready in 8 weeks. And that's where I think people rush it. They cut down too fast, they look too flat, too small, lose too much muscle, whereas I was lucky enough that I planned it out far enough that I didn't have to do that. But in saying that, I still was very hungry on the last 2 weeks. Very, very hungry.
Yeah, and to go from drinking heaps of water to like just sips on the competition day, I just found that amazing. I was like, really?
But there's a photo on my Instagram, Lawrence_Templar, where you can see I put up my YouTube as well about the stages of the TANs, and it has I think it's the morning of the show, and then the morning before the show, the morning of the show, and then I think it's 3 hours before the show, before I step on stage, and it looks like a different physique, just because your body's used to getting rid of all the water, keep peeing and peeing and peeing and peeing, and you're not actually putting anything in, and you get drier and drier and drier, and you keep eating more sugar, more glycogen in your muscles, and the more carbs, and then just like looks like a completely different physique. It's really weird to see your body change within a 24-hour period. Like, you're used to seeing your body every day, and like you get people who have transformations over 3 months and they're like, I don't feel like I look that different. And they see a photo of themselves and like, whoa. And you see this in 24 hours and you're like, oh, okay, yep, it's working. This is good. Yeah.
It's amazing what the body can do. Oh.
It is. It is.
Very magical. We'd love to know as well, is there any particular music that you like to listen to while working out? Or do you just gym without no music?
I always have my earphones in, mainly because where I work at Fitness First, I hear that music every day in my head. So I pretty much just put on anything. But I like happy music. I'm not a big metal music. I've always been into hip hop, but anything kind of happy-ish. I'm not one of those people that can train angry. If like some people are like, oh, it's good. Anger is going to give you like more motivation. I'm the complete opposite. If I'm angry, I'm not training. I won't do it. I'll do something else. I'll just go eat or something. But if I'm happy, I'll have the best sessions I've ever had.
That's interesting. I guess everybody is different in that department. Yeah. Now, let's go back to the beginning of this whole journey for you. You've always had a passion for health and fitness, but is that what you always wanted to do as a career, or did you have other careers in mind?
When I first left high school, I worked in a chemical factory.
Wow, that's different.
Yeah, something really random. In Laverton, I used to dump chemical bags for like 10 hours, just in like a big funnel type thing. And then one of my mates worked in a call center, and he got me a job in a call center, and I met one of my, I call him one of my best mates, but he's definitely one of my mentors as well. He was, I don't know what you call him, he was under the CEO, so he wasn't really a manager, he was a step above that. But he goes, why don't you just become a PT? Why don't you go work in a gym? You love it so much, why don't you do it? And then I signed up to doing the course, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't really that passionate about it, and then ended up getting a job at Fitness First here in Melbourne Central, and I haven't left. And the main reason why is I've kind of never had a bad day. People are like, oh, why do you like it so much? I'm like, I've never had a bad day. I only get to work for myself. Like, don't get me wrong, like, as much as people say when you work for yourself, you make your own hours, you really don't. You're working all the time. Like, I'll be working on my phone, writing programs, answering questions, or doing diets, even when, like, we're driving to an appointment for Nala, or even going to drop her off when we're going swimming for her. Nala's my daughter. But you're always working, you're always switched on, but I think I like it because it's so scheduled that I'm always doing something. And I competed in ICN, which was called IMBA. I think it was 7 years ago when they had their first comp called Beachbody. This is before fitness modeling was like really like taking off. Like they were just kind of like, oh, what is it? Like there was bodybuilding, and then they just started having this. And I really enjoyed that, getting on stage. And then the goal was always to compete again when I was bigger, and then kind of lost track of it, ended up just working and focusing more on that, focusing more on life, to be honest. Then met my fiance, had kids, bought a house, waiting for it to be built, starting a life, having another kid. Like, it kind of gets away from you, and then you're like, you know what, I should do this now. So, and if I don't do it now, I know I won't do it for another 3 or 4 years. And I felt it was something that I really needed to get out of my system. So I would always be dieting, as I said, for modeling. I'd always be trying to stay lean for a certain thing, or I'd always have that in my head, in the back of my head going, you know, what if I get this? What if I do this? What if I do this? And since I've done that, I've noticed, even though it's only been 4 weeks or 3.5 weeks, because I dieted so much, I've kind of, as going back to the lesson question, I've learnt to enjoy the normal things more. Like, I really enjoy just going out to dinner with my family. Like, I wouldn't think about doing it that often before, because it'd be like, oh, I'd rather diet. Whereas now, I love it. Like, even family night we have every night, like, and Sally's parents will cook something different that I've never had before, and I'll sit there and have that, and I'm like, oh, this is really good, what is this? And like, we've had it so many times and you've never had it before. I'm like, oh, okay. Whereas now I get to try it. And that's probably the other biggest lesson that I've had, going back to that question I know at the start, but yeah.
No, it's all right. And it's funny because I was actually going to ask you about how you juggle your family and your career, but you pretty much answered that question too.
Awesome.
Yes. And from looking at your Star Now page when I was researching you, it says, you know, you're a model, which we know, actor, extra, dancer, didn't know that. It does say you're, into breakdancing and disco. Please tell us more about that.
So my one of my best mates was a stripper, and this is before actually around when I met Sally, my fiance. He lost his license, and then he's like, "Can you drive me around for work?" And he's a stripper, so every Saturday night we go and do that. When I say we go and do that, he'd strip and I'd stand there and piss myself laughing because it is so funny. I don't know what it is, but I feel as if when guys strip, people just do it for a laugh. Like, it's not very sexual, it's just kind of funny. They just do it like, it's like when they have like a hands up, like, let's get a stripper, and everyone just pisses themselves laughing the whole time. And I'd be in the background just laughing. But we used to go to like dance class on Sunday, hip-hop dance class, and we do that every Sunday for like 6 months. And he's like, "Oh, I'm actually pretty good at this." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." And I ended up getting a couple of jobs on Winners and Losers, the TV show. I was on there as a dancer, and then I did a couple of things at Crown, just like doing choreographed dancing and things like that. It just opened up like another door of work, I guess you'd call it, just because I had some kind of training in it. I think that's why I would be on there, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Gives us a little insight into your another part of your life.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you've never thought about going down that stripper path either?
That's not my thing.
You just have to keep laughing at yourself if you did.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to take it seriously. Like, I would try and dance, and I'd end up like giggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did mention Winners and Losers, and on top of that, all your hard work has definitely brought you some amazing opportunities like Winners and Losers. You're an extra in Underbelly Squizzy and Real Housewives of Melbourne, an internet campaign for Hyundai, and then also featured in Alison Wonderland's Cold music video, which I would love to talk about. How was the shoot day for that? Because, how they've edited the video is very interesting.
Yeah, that was good. That was one of my random goals that I had when I was, I thought I would have to do dancing on it, but it was there was no dancing involved at all. It was just like a mosh pit. I said one day, I'm like, "Oh, I want to be in a film clip." And like, "Why don't you do it?" And I'm like, never thought of actually trying. And then I searched on there, and then like, "Oh yeah, they had that to enter." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Did that. But then I think it was about 6 hours we were there for. But it was, yeah, like, they're like, "Who wants to vomit?" And I'm like, "Not me." But that was a cool film clip. Yeah. To be honest, I actually forgot that I did that.
Oh, I'm bringing back all your memories now, am I?
Yeah. Because I think that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. See, I did some good research on you.
You did.
Even though you've already achieved so much in your career as well, Lawrence, what else can we expect from you in the future? You said like in 4 years' time you want to do the Arnolds again, but anything else?
I have to wait and see. I really don't know. My main focus is just on the second little one coming out, to be honest. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how hectic our life will become.
Even more hectic. Wait for it.
Yeah. So that'll be pretty cool. I'd like to do more TV stuff, to be honest. They did say on the House of Wellness they will get me back on there. I'm not sure what for. Hopefully something to do with fitness. I'm sure it would be.
I'm sure it will be,
yeah. Really cool. Yeah. Not dancing.
Well, yeah, what else are they going to bring you on for? Well, we'll just have to follow you on all your social medias and keep updated. Awesome. Yeah. And love to know, do you have any advice for your fans and our followers that want to follow their dreams of becoming either, a bodybuilder like yourself or a model or even an actor?
Yeah. It's been said by a lot of people, but if you think about competing, make sure you actually want to do it. A lot of people will see someone on stage, or they'll see photos of me when I've competed, and as I said, I got down to 2.8% body fat. It's not healthy. Like, being healthy is being able to enjoy your life and have some fun. And yes, if you want to lose some body fat, simple. Be in a calorie deficit, do some exercise, do some more exercise, it's okay, right? Going into that level, you're dieting for 20 weeks or 16 weeks or however long you want to do a prep for that 1 to 2 minutes that you're on stage. That's what that ultimate goal was. And once you've achieved that, you go back to enjoying your life again. That would probably be the main advice. Make sure you actually want to do it. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, maybe I should compete." Yeah, awesome. if you really want to, then that's something we can look towards. My advice for clients, when they say they want to compete, I say, let's organize a photo shoot first. And they're like, why? I go, because it's the same type of thing. You set a date, you diet down for it, you get lean, you carb up, whatever the photo shoot may be, but you get a taste of what it's like to be strict. Whereas if you mess up a little bit in the photo shoot, it's not that big of a deal. But if you mess up for a competition, you may actually upset yourself more, and then little things can happen. Like you may get so stressed that your cortisol go crazy and you start holding like more water and feel all fluidy and like not start sleeping properly because you get so stressed about it. But if it's a photo shoot, it's just a goal. If that makes sense. And you've got something to work towards. But yeah, it's not probably the best advice.
No, it's still good advice. I never thought of it as the photo shoot and competing are very similar in that way.
Yeah, I didn't really I haven't really thought about that one, but...
Still came out right, it's all good.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone will still take that advice on board, because it still was really good advice, so thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Now, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, but as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Ooh, I'd say learn more. Turn your brain on. Absorb more knowledge that people are telling you and listen. For instance, start saving earlier. Just little things like that. Like someone will be like, save more money. Why? Like I've always been good with that kind of stuff, but I wish I started earlier. Save more money, learn more. Whatever you did is okay because it led you to where you are now, and you have a beautiful family. And that's the main thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. Well, it's good advice for all the young listeners as well. And before we go, Lawrence, if the listeners would like to contact you or find out what you're up to, where should they go?
Everything would be linked in my Instagram at Lawrence Templar. Sorry, Lawrence _ Templar, LAWRENCE _ Templar, TEMPLAR. If they can't find that, they can find my website, which is Lawrence at Lawrence Templar. Sorry, email lawrence@lawrencetemplar.com.au, and their website is lawrencetemplar.com.au.
Awesome. Easy enough to find you. And I'm sure if they just type Lawrence Templar into Instagram, you'll come up anyway.
It'll come up somewhere,
yeah, exactly. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, Lawrence. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate your time to chat to us today. And hopefully next time we can have a chat in person as well. So we'll keep in contact and we'll make it happen. It'd be good to just do a cool segment on health and fitness one day. I don't know. Sounds good.
Yes, that's what I'm going to be doing in the future.
Yes, exactly. Coming back on the show. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, visit our website, raveituptv.com. All the podcasts and videos are there for you to enjoy. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.